I am Sophia Parola with the Garden State Film Festival, and here with me is Kevin Lutz, filmmaker who has made Luck. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks so much for taking some time out to talk to us. So before we get started, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about Luck.
Sure. My name's Kevin Lutz. I guess you could say I'm a filmmaker. Luck is a short film I made. It's about a minute and a half long. I made it specifically for the Garden State Film Festival. Here's the truth. I had been in this festival about 10 or so years ago, 2010, so 12 years ago. And I knew it was the 20th anniversary, and I challenged myself to make a film for it just to make sure I got in this year's festival.
I love that. That's amazing. I'm so proud to work with Garden State and to know that you came 12 years ago and you wanted to make it for the 20th anniversary. Congratulations on making your goal.
Yeah, no, it was kind of like, I don't want to say it was last minute, but it was one of those things where, I mean, the whole last 2 years feel like they were all 1 month.
Right.
But I looked at the deadline and I was like, oh man, I got to make a film festival. And so, I set the goal, and lucky enough, it all worked out.
Lucky enough.
Yeah, there
Very,
you go.
very good way to bring ourselves to talk about luck. So, where did you come up with this idea? Was it just because I know you kind of last minute wanted to get into the festival. So, where did this specific and very creative idea come from?
So, essentially, it boils down to I wanted to make sure I could do something that, in the throes of it, as you see in the movie, it's just me. It was a one-man crew. I wanted to make sure I could do something COVID safe, so that it didn't have to really involve anyone else other than myself. So that was kind of the challenge heading out, as far as what I could shoot and what story I could tell with one person. Essentially, the basis of the film is off of, not the basis, but the way I kind of worked it out was, there's an old technique from the 1900s called the Kuleshov effect, I think it is. And it's essentially their experiments in intercutting from one image to the next. And I use that as kind of a basis. And another friend of mine during the discussion had said something along the lines of, I wonder if you could make a whole movie with stock footage. So using those two in mind, I kind of use those as the framework to kind of make the movie work.
Wow, and that's so amazing. But this specific idea, without giving anything away, what happens? Was this something that you have been through or just kind of imagined? How did you come up with that?
No, got to be honest with you. I think it was I set the box of what the groundwork was of what you could tell a story, and it evolved into internal thoughts and internal, one person telling a story all through, I guess, just the expressions on their faces and moving the plot line along that way. And it was almost like I had the end and the beginning and the story device. There's an old expression, have a good beginning and a good ending and keep them as close together as possible. Well, that was the goal here. And that's kind of how I came up with the plot of the film.
Wow, very interesting and good advice. I like that. I like that little quote. So, this was a one-man crew. So you were the one man?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was,
And
um,
I thought it was interesting the way you did those shots. And now that I'm thinking that it was all you, I mean, did you just kind of go with the flow, or did you know what the shots were going to be beforehand?
no, so that was the big part ahead of it, that it really, why it all worked out is I storyboarded it. I kind of came up with the idea. I mean, it was really all from start to finish about a week long, where when I was driving in and out of work, I was trying to put it through in my head of how it would work out. And I would storyboard it because I knew I only really had a day to shoot it. So I scripted out the storyboard, wrote out the whole plot, and then I knew what shots I needed. And once I was able to lock them off, I was like, all right, got that shot, on to the next one.
Wow, and all these additional elements, like the stock footage that you spoke of, and also there's a voiceover in it. Was that you? Was that your voice?
Yeah, so that was my voice. Every part of it, other than, like I said, the stock footage elements and the music I got off the same stock footage site. Everything else is either I shot it or it's a camera mounted to a location that I was able to act within without having to hit remotely start to stop the recording. So everything else is just me.
Wow, very impressive. And so it seems like you had this goal that you set and you created it and you did it in a week or even shorter. You made this really story like circle this. What I'm trying to say is the story is just like a full circle. I think it's a good story, but it's simple and it's short. Do you have advice for other filmmakers who want to make something that maybe isn't such a huge budget and they don't want to use a bunch of actors? Like, what did you learn from this process that you can kind of give advice to other filmmakers about?
I mean, I guess the whole thing is don't let what you can't do stop you from doing what you can do. Like, I knew that I wanted to keep a crew short. So then I figured out how to adapt the story to so that I didn't have to interact with anybody. I'm sure early on, like the script had lines where it was going back and forth. And I was like, well, that's not going to work when it's one person. So you adapt to the means. Adaptability is crucial when making a film. I think there was an old like Snoopy cartoon where his first script starts off where the opening scene is a dark and stormy night, and then once he realizes how much that costs, it becomes daytime at noon on a perfect day with just himself. Because you know, as you start to go about the process, you're like, oh man, there's no way I can get that shot. Well, if you can't get it, what can you get? And so that's what you try and adapt to.
Wow, I love that. And to wrap this up, which is so wonderful speaking to you about how you made this, you went to Garden State Film Festival 12 years ago. You wanted to come back for the 20th anniversary. Why did you want to go back to Garden State Film Festival? What brought you back? How does it feel to be accepted this year?
Well, yeah, being acceptance awesome. I mean, I've been going to it. I mean, it might have been even a couple years before that. I've been going, I've been volunteer because the community that evolves around it. Uh, it's New Jersey's the birthplace of film, and they do film, you know, TV shows and movies and all sorts of stuff here, but it never gets the recognition it deserves. And the Garden State Film Festival is a way to broaden that out around the world so that, I mean, I've seen movies here from like Ireland, from, you know, all sorts of other around the world. And just to be able to go up to Asbury Park to see it is fantastic. Like what they do to make New Jersey both a global festival and also a local festival, because there's high school kids. I mean, I was in college when the first film I made that as part of a class project. It's a great way to meet people who are like-minded filmmakers. Like I've been to other festivals, you know, from New York to California and in between, and there's just something special about this one.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I love everything you just said. And it's so great to talk to someone who can feel that community, likes to come back and network and just make the best out of Garden State Film Festival, because it really is, it's an amazing festival and all in Jersey. So thank you for all your kind words. Thank you for making Luck and submitting it and getting accepted. And let me tell everyone how they can watch Luck. It will be playing in Asbury Lanes Saturday, March 26th in the film block 8:30 to 10:45 p.m. So, Kevin, thank you so much. Congratulations again. And I hope you have a wonderful night and career ahead of you.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.